page 40, and we're going to take a look at what we call the cardiac conduction system. And that comes from your textbook on page 593. What we're talking about now is how the heart actually contracts. So it forces blood to travel from atria to ventricles, and then from your ventricles out through the pulmonary trunk and the aorta. Your heart is a very unusual organ in the fact that it has a built-in set of nervous tissues, which is what we call the intrinsic conduction system. This conduction system can work independent of your nervous system control and actually cause the heart to beat. However, left up to its own devices, it does not beat at the proper rate for your heart to, pump blood throughout your body. So what we actually need is for your nervous system, your brain and spinal cord, to actually override that built-in nervous system and keep the heart rate at a proper pace. Somewhere around 75 beats per minute is the average for most people. So what I want to share with you here are those built-in sets of nervous tissues, starting off with your SA node there. SA node is short for sinoatrial node, and you notice where it's located? Right atrium, good. Sinoatrial node sets the heartbeat, and for that reason, what do we call it? It is the pacemaker, good. So the sinoatrial node is kind of like the drum beat. It begins this process of starting the heartbeat. So sinoatrial node will fire. Follow these yellow lines. These are actually the nerves. They travel into both right atrium and over here into the left atrium. This takes you back to Bio 210 with nervous control of muscle tissue. What happens when you have a stimulus arrive at a muscle? Depolarization. What else? You've got to reach threshold. What rushes into your muscle cells? Sodium. Okay. So we're looking at depolarizing these muscle cells in the atria. If they reach threshold, then what can happen? Contract, right? They can actually reach threshold. They can produce a muscle contraction. That takes the blood in those two atria and pumps it where? Down into the ventricle. So what this is forcing is for the atria to somewhat fill with blood first. They do a very weak contraction in comparison to what the ventricles will do, but the job here is to make a pump, send that blood down into the two ventricles, and now the ventricles will be full of blood. Notice the SA nodes firing will eventually reach this other node known as an AV node. That's short for atrioventricular node. Some pictures show it closer to the interventricular septum. It sits somewhat here near the base of the right atrium, but you'll notice where it now will send information down what?
A bundle of here?
Yes. Down the septum, here in the middle, and then you're right, it goes up into each ventricle in the wall of that myocardium. So what's happening is SA node fires first, atria contract, AV node fires second. Now what do the ventricles do? They contract also. So this is kind of having to go back and remember all that stuff from 210 about depolarization, contraction, and then resetting the resting state, which involves repolarization. So we're kind of keeping that in the back of our minds here because that's what the SA nodes and AV nodes do. They force a contraction rate of approximately 75 beats per minute, and it's meant to be a normal or average value for many people. If you're on heart medication, it may automatically lower your heart rate into the 40s or the 50s. Well-toned athletes will also have heart rates in the 40s or 50s, and that may be normal for them. So a low heart rate may actually be normal for many people. However, a high heart rate can actually overwork the heart and wear it out. So a high heart rate, something in the 90s or 100s, that's something that could be detrimental to the heart's activities. It's overworking and overcontracting. All right, let's talk about a couple of names here. You've got your SA node, you've got your AV node. We've covered those two. Notice right here where the AV node crosses into the septum. The old name for it is the bundle of His. Do you know what the new name for it is?
Some kind of pathway, internodal pathway.
Interventricular bundle, and literally it is sitting right there on the interventricular septum. So I wanted you to hear both names because they're both out there in circulation. Bundle of his is also the same thing as interventricular node or interventricular bundle. You probably noticed in anatomy and physiology we are trying to get away from this trend of naming objects for the person who discovered them. A man with the last name of his actually discovered this bundle block or this bundle branch there. So we're trying to call it for where it's located, and it really is on that interventricular septum. Notice how the bundle splits. You've got a left bundle branch that travels toward the left ventricle, and you've got a right bundle branch that does travel toward the right ventricle. And at the ends here, as those bundles travel up into the myocardium walls, you've got these little fibers that go up into the myocardium called Purkinje fibers. And there again is a name for somebody. That tends to stick, though. I haven't heard many alternate names for the Purkinje fibers, but those are the ones that line the walls of the myocardium in those ventricles, telling those ventricles to do what?
Contract.
Contract, good. You ever heard of a left bundle branch block? Or a right bundle branch block? Let's say somebody has a heart attack. You remember those coronary arteries that sit on the surface of the heart? What do those coronary arteries carry? Oxygenated blood. What if you starve cardiac muscle of oxygenated blood? Heart attack. Cells die, and cardiac muscle is amitotic, meaning it does not do what? Regenerate or divide. It forms scar tissue, and scar tissue is made up of collagen fibers. Collagen fibers are not muscle tissue, so if you have scar tissue inside of the heart, it's not going to contract like a regular heart muscle. So the problem is here, if you happen to starve the heart of oxygen in a location around that left bundle branch or the right bundle branch, you may actually interfere with the traveling of that nerve impulse down the interventricular septum to that particular region of the heart. Big problem, right? Because you're looking at interfering with the entire control mechanism to make those heart muscles contract in each of those two ventricles. So a left or a right bundle branch blockage, that could be a serious issue there for heart contraction. Okay.